Thank you so much for joining me today on Senior Fitness with Meredith. So today's topic, what we're going to do for our learning level video, is sciatica. So that's an issue. It's very hard to say exactly what different people feel. Sciatica in and of itself, definition, is a pain that you feel from your lower back, radiates hip through gluteals and down the back of your leg. So again, when I say we're doing stretches today for sciatica, doesn't necessarily have to be a diagnosed sciatica, something that's radiating from your sciatic nerve. You might have lower back issues. You might just need to be stretched out through your gluteals and the back of your leg, and these will be perfect for that. But especially if this is an instructor watching and you have clients coming to you that say, I have sciatica, what can I do? This will be very helpful to get people involved. So what we'll do today, I'm going to show a couple standing, I'm going to show a couple seated in the chair, and then multiple ones will be laying on the ground. So if you want to have your equipment ready, and I'll meet you back here. Welcome back. We'll go ahead and get started with our stretches for sciatica and other issues of the lower back radiating down and around. So starting with a hip extension. When you're standing, you want to always keep that slight bend in the standing knee joint. Abdominals always pulled in nice and tight. Relaxing the shoulders, keep the length in the spine. All you do from the hip, think about the gluteals, the back of your leg. You just press that foot back behind you and come back to center. That's your hip extension, pressing back. So not only are you lengthening through your hip flexor, you might have pain there with sciatica, or rotating around the hip, you're strengthening the gluteals, your lower back, your hamstring. So just pressing straight back. That hip extension, body's nice and tall. A lot of times with this movement, we want the chest to go forward. I don't want that. We want to work our gluteals and our lower back. So just do about 10 to 15 depending on how that pain is. And of course, make sure you're nice and tall. Same thing, slight bend in the other standing knee joint. Press that other straight leg back. Really focus, nice, slow, and controlled when you're doing your stretches. Doesn't have to be speeded up. We're not trying to get through it quick. We want to feel a stretch. We want to feel the muscles engage and work. That's the main thing. So again, 10 to 15, do as many as you feel comfortable with, your hip extension. Next thing, standing, hip hinge. So we bring our feet to a nice, comfortable, stable position. Equal pressure, ball of our foot to our heel. Keeping that length in your spine, proud through your chest. Put your hands on your hips. I want you to feel where your hips are, not your waist. Hips, you're hinging from the hips. Chest goes forward. We inhale as we go down. We exhale as we stand up tall. This is focusing on strengthening our hamstrings and our gluteals. Again, not bending forward at the waist, losing our core and losing our spine. Hinge at the hips. Chest goes forward, no more than 90 degrees. Back up nice and tall. Using that breath, inhale, exhale. Again, about 10 to 15. Make sure you have proper form. You should not feel as if your lower back is straining to pull you back up. You want to feel back of your legs pull you back up. So that's your hip hinge. We're going to sit down in our chair for a couple now. So once you're in your chair, nice and tall in that chair, this is where the option of a band comes into play. You don't necessarily have to use a band. If you have a looped band, you could use that to put over your knees. If you have a long band, you can tie your knees, or you can do it without any equipment. You can even put a towel around those legs. You'll still get resistance. Feet are nice and close together, nice and tall. Pressing from your outer thighs, you open your knees, you come back in. That movement we're getting in our hips and gluteals. That's what we're working on. Exhale. Inhale. So our hip abduction, pressing out, release center. Again, with resistance is going to help build up those muscles even more, but really work on your range of motion. That's really important. So your hip abduction, seated in your chair. And now we'll just do a simple hamstring stretch. So we lengthen out through our leg, always keeping that slight bend in the knee joint. Nice and proud through the chest, allowing the chest to go forward. Once you feel that stretch in the back of your leg, your gluteals and your lower back, you allow yourself to release into it and hold it there. So if you're holding these stretches at home, I'd say if you're able to, have a clock nearby, have a timer set, try and hold them for at least 30 seconds. Allow those muscles, tendons, ligaments to really stretch out and release. A lot of times problem with stretches, we said we stretched, we did that. I do that movement all the time after workouts. Well, if we go down for a second, we come up. Did we really allow it time to stretch? Allow yourself to release into your stretches when you're doing them on your own. You're not guided by me if you're doing a workout video where we have a certain time frame to do them in. Give yourself the time to melt and relax into your stretches. Of course, even if you're only having pain on one side, keeping it equal on both sides, make sure you do those same stretches, same amount of time on the other side. A lot of times we neglect sides. We say the pain's on the right side, I'm only going to focus on that. Well, then we start feeling pain in the left. Really focus on both sides, keep it equal. Again, 30 seconds, come back up, go back into it. Do 2 or 3 rounds of that. So that's your hamstring stretch. So now we're going to lay down on the ground. So remember when you do your stretches, and I'm showing laying on the ground, you don't have to lay down on the ground. You can lay on your bed, on your couch. If you have a platform, if you're going to a gym or a therapy office where they have those stretching tables that are very stable, lower to the ground, those are perfect to do your stretches on as well. So whatever is available to you and you feel most comfortable with. I always like to say going down to the floor is scary for some people, because now we have to focus on getting back up when we're done. Do what feels best for you. The bed works, so it's just going on to that higher platform may be what's for you. So, laying on our backs, keeping a bend in the knees. We really want to focus on pressing our lower back into the ground the entire time. As soon as it goes up, we're putting more stress on our lower back, those lower lumbar spine. So we want to press down. So from here, you just pull one knee into the chest, holding it there. Again, we're releasing through the gluteals and our lower back. If it's available to you and you feel comfortable, lengthen out through the opposite leg. It deepens the stretch, but you do not have to do it if it doesn't feel right. Length through the opposite leg or knee stays bent. Again, that lower back stays pressed down entire time. So if you do one side, again, do the other side, whichever way feels best. Knee coming in or with that other leg lengthened out, as long as you're not compromising form. As soon as that other leg lengthened out, I felt my lower back want to come up even more. It takes a lot of core and pelvic, lower abdominal muscles to press down. If it's not there yet, have that other bend in the knee. Also, if it's available to you, pulling both knees into the chest and squeezing them in as tight as you can. Again, those gluteals and your lower back are releasing. Wonderful, wonderful stretches that you can do. Another one, feet are down, flat on the floor or the bed, wherever it is that you're laying down. Pelvic tilt. All that is simply is pressing your lower back down into that surface you're on, and then just releasing it. Our spine has natural curves to it. Some people, their lower back comes way up off the ground. We have a sway back. Some of us had different where we don't have as much sway, but there's still that little gap that comes up. Pelvic tilt, down, pressing that lower back as far as you can, holding that. Again, trying to hold for about 15 to 20 seconds. This one's a little tougher to hold for 30 seconds. Pressing down, breathing through that time, and then gently releasing it. 2 to 3 rounds of that. That's your pelvic tilt. Now going into our bridge, we keep those feet flat on our surface that we are laying down on, And now we're going to press those hips up towards the sky. So once you press them up, I want you to keep that length through your abdominals. We're getting a big stretch through our abdominals. Again, the hip flexor, our groin. We're squeezing our gluteals. We're engaging our hamstrings. It's a good stretch and lengthening of your spine. Holding that up 10 to 15 seconds. Releasing it down, 2 to 3 rounds of that. Again, pressing those hips straight up. They don't have to go super high. Don't think that if your form isn't there and it's not as big as I try and show it so you can see it, that you're not going to get benefit from it. Even a tiny lift is engaging, engaging, lengthening, lengthening. That's what you're looking for. Holding that, breathing into it, and releasing down. So that's your bridge. One more thing, laying down for our sciatica stretches, you'll go on your side if it's available to you. So you go onto your side, you have the knees bent. I'll prop my head up so I can talk a little better. Clamshells, feet stay together, almost like what we did with our hip abduction, sitting in the chair. You just open up those knees, release down. Open up the knee, release it down. Clamshell. Sounds just like it looks, right? So open up, release it down. Again, try and do 10 to 15, what feels comfortable. Big movement as we strengthen the hip and gluteal. And then make sure you flip over and you do the other side. So all of those good stretches, doing the ones that feel best. I could give you a laundry list of different movements, but you have to go through it. Try them out and see what feels best and works best for you. So I hope you find this useful and helpful. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.